So today's the day. We have hit Hasbro's Fan First Friday from the Hasbro Pulse Network, and we had a big stream this morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Pacific Time, and two of the designers were there, Mark and another individual whose name escapes me, unfortunately, and they pretty much ran down some new product that we were going to be both getting from Hasbro Pulse and that of the Netflix series. So I'm going to be breaking these segments down separately into different parts, and we're going to just talk about what we saw and all the kind of interesting stuff. It wasn't too big because some of the stuff we've discussed already in the past on the podcast just due to leaks and the unfortunate of it, but there was some information that was given on some of them and some behind the scenes stuff, so I will touch on those in the future segments. But the first one we're going to talk about here, we're going to jump into Transformers War for Cybertron Netflix series, and they were pretty much showing us all the Wave 2 assortments. Now, no surprise, everything in War for Cybertron is, of course, going to be repaints and retools. So there was no new molds, but we did get two characters that were shown in the series that have not had toys yet. And the first one we're going to jump into, of course, is Elita-One. She is a Deluxe EarthRise Arcee redeco and repaint and retool. I really like what I'm seeing here, but we kind of knew that was happening because if you looked very carefully at her model, you could already see the cues of the RC design just reimposed here. I dig the robot mode. The robot mode works, especially if you kind of just ignore the kibble that would be the I guess we'll call it the hoverboard. So her just in robot mode on its own isn't too bad. I'm not feeling the alt mode because it pretty much just is a darker red kind of magenta RC. So that's kind of a bummer considering that she, again, it's still not a 100% throwback to her Cybertronian truck or pickup truck kind of look that she had before. So that's kind of a shame, but at the end of the day, I guess we could kind of just be like, oh, well, I guess this is her early Cybertronian design, and maybe she got a later one later when she became leader of the Fembots or something. That's one way we could kind of spin it. She'll get a Voyager later, maybe that might be more true to her Generation 1 design. But again, you can't give people everything. We got to then have you to sell you another product down the line later. She went from a jet now to this, and maybe we'll get a true Generation 1 design down the line. The next one, which was a big surprise, and again, we're only going to touch these two in this segment, then we'll go through the overall span of it in the next one. But the next big surprise was they finally showed us Bumblebee, and I was surprised that despite the fact that this is supposed to be a War for Cybertron, Cybertronian pre-Earth kind of thing, we got the Volkswagen Beetle. So that's actually quite surprising. No surprise, though, is that, yeah, it is a repaint / retool of the Cliffjumper. I know that John Warden said in the past he wanted to do something that would be original, but, well, you can't always believe everything you hear. So again, repaint / retool of Cliffjumper, so uses the same kind of tooling. The back of the vehicle makes a shield. It unfortunately still comes with the exact same weapon, so it's the big bazooka cannon with the two little ski pieces that also make the prop up or the stand for the bazooka, so that kind of doesn't work continuity-wise because Bumblebee never really had those skis in that scene. But hey, whatever. I guess I think they could have went with the same tooling, but just give a more simpler, smaller weapon, or maybe something that could be more of a nod to another part of the fiction. But again, they wanted to keep the tooling probably very low key because at the end of the day, this is just part of the Netflix line, which is all about slight repaints and slight retools. So, obviously you got a big retool of the shell of the body here, but I guess they wanted to keep the weapon simple and the overall transformation the same, and of course a brand new head sculpt. They did show off a turret mode, which could be achieved if you reconfigure the alt mode a little bit, which kind of was not the same on the Cliffjumper. The Cliffjumper, again, more rocked, showing off the ski mode and everything, which was a throwback to an old G1 episode in Season 2. But otherwise, I dig it. It's pretty cool. Again, now we have a affordable price point Volkswagen Beetle. And so for those people who either were not a fan of the first masterpiece We're not a fan of the second masterpiece, especially how much more expensive that one is. Or alternatively, if the Bumblebee movie stuff isn't your jam in terms of aesthetic, you have this one, and this is going to be a deluxe, so how it'll pretty much scale with everyone else will work fine, because Cliffjumper, if he's any indicator of the size here, because the tooling in the legs is pretty much the same, is a small deluxe. So this will work out well. I think people will dig it. So between these two, I mean, everyone else, and we'll talk about it in the next segment, is more just straight up major repaints. And then one interesting, as they call it, this is what they refer to it as, an unboxing item. But it's interesting otherwise. We'll get into the next segment right now and talk about what's going on with the rest of the Transformers War for Cybertron Netflix series. I do want to mention that all of this stuff that they showed today is going live for pre-order on the Hasbro Pulse website, probably as the moment you're hearing my voice. So definitely go check that out if you're willing to buy it now.